afraid of the dark? Are you scared?
Ha, let's get it. What's going on, beautiful people? I am the Grandmaster, and I also go by D-Ray, and I am your coach of the San Diego Snugglers, and today is going to be the IBA Draft Analysis. And if you guys didn't read from the title and thumbnail, this is very exciting because this is going to be for Generation 7 Wi-Fi. That's right, Gen 7 Wi-Fi, baby. We're about to go back in time, hop onto that 3DS that I've got sitting over here gaining some cobwebs. The nice fancy one with the same colored as the background that we've got here on our graphics. Shout out to John Jr., they look beautiful. But yeah, we're gonna hop back in time. If you guys are excited for this kind of lead, do me a massive favor and shadow claw that thumbs up button. And if you're new, por favor, hit the subscribe button, turn on post notifications, hit the bell button so you guys get notified every single time we post a new video. So, like I said before, this is going to be Gen 7, baby. This is actually going to be the very first time that I draft my own team. When I first started doing Draft League, converting over from doubles into singles draft, I took over a team in the AP Academy. It was a great team. I actually had one of the Pokemon that I drafted on that team. But I will admit, my skill level was subpar. So I wasn't very good at, the Pokemons back then. Not to say that I wasn't able to transfer the skill from VGC doubles to singles draft. It is different. It is different. So now that I feel like I've got a lot of experience under my belt, I feel as though this is going to be much better. I'm very excited for it. If you guys are too, let's just pull up a chair, get your popcorn ready, and let's get it popping. So the San Diego Snugglers are going to be in the International Battle Association, which is what I believe this acronym is for. This is owned and commissioned by Brody, aka Odds R, and the awesome admin staff that are goons, which are John Jr. and Kirby, I believe, and then Owen OG Albina done, as well as doing some stuff. So shout out to you guys for putting this stuff together. The IBL has been in hibernation for quite some time, and now we're back. So the champion, I believe, the defending champion is going to be John Jr. From what I hear, John Jr. is kind of king in Gen 7, so I'm very excited to actually play him week 1. Woo! We got a tough schedule starting in Wi-Fi, guys, with the second round coming in for this year in 2020. So, but nonetheless, we have the team to do it. I think we have the team to kind of go pretty far. My goal is to get to the playoffs. My goal in other Gen 8 Wi-Fi leagues are to win the whole thing. For here, I just would like to at least make playoffs. That's my goal. So let's see if we can get that done. So for the first pick, I believe I was number 3 or 4. I want to say 3. Now at this point, it's kind of, if you don't get first or second pick, I kind of don't want to be in the front of the draft, in my opinion, because then you're kind of forced into taking Pokemon that are like screaming at you, right? Like, this Pokemon is good, and I feel as though that's what happened this time, and I couldn't pass up using this Pokemon. This is the Pokemon that I had in the other team that I inherited for Gen 7. So unfortunately, I mean, I'm gonna love using this thing, don't get me wrong, but I would have liked to try something else. And in my opinion, this Pokemon was just needing to be taken off the board because of it. If you were to ask me what the best Gen 7 Pokemon in Draft League was, as a spectator, I would say it'd be this Pokemon, just because of the versatility that you can bring, as long as you have a team built around it that allows you to do so. So the very first pick in the IBA draft, the San Diego Snugglers decided to pick up Mew. So Mew is our very first pick. This is our tier 1 Pokemon. This draft is going to be, I believe, standard. So we have 1 tier 1, 1 tier 2, 2 tier 3 is a tier 4, tier 5, 4 free picks, and a mega Pokemon. And if you pick a mega Pokemon that's not tier 1, then you actually gain points for your free points. So that's something to keep in mind. So we did take Mew as our tier 1 pick. Mew's a phenomenal Pokemon. Now mind you, this is Gen 7, so hidden powers are back, Signal Beam is back, and Mew gets all of it. Literally all of it. There's a lot of really cool tools that Mew got in Gen 8, which unfortunately we're not gonna have here. It's gonna be a weird feeling to not be able to have the items and the moves that you get in Gen 8. So it's something you got to keep in mind. But this thing literally is versatile for everything. This league also allows 2 Z captains. You have to have a Z captain declared ahead of time, which is going to be your everything Z captain. It can do anything, and your attacking Z captain. And Mew is going to be one of our Z captains. Unfortunately, Munium Z is banned. Boo! Munium Z is banned, so I can't use that. It's a broken move, but I mean I understand it, but it sucks because I have Mew, so I would rather it be legal so I can use it. You know what I'm saying? So. I can't use Medium Z. Great first overall pick. Pure second typing. Now we have to build around it so that way it's not forced into a specific role. It doesn't have to be the offensive threat. It doesn't have to be the defogger, the stealth rocker, the support mon every single week. I would like to be able to come in as a hybrid. And whatever the matchup is, I can just tailor make it for that, if that makes sense. So with the next pick, I'm actually going to pull up what I have here ahead of time so I can follow along with what exactly is going on. So my second pick, I basically am able to start over from the draft because, like I said, I don't want Mew to fit a specific role. So I'm able to completely start over. And I do want to get a really strong fairy because in Gen 7, fairy types are king, in my opinion. And I also like to draft really, really bulky, really fat. So mind you that I'm the third pick, so it goes all the way to the very end. I believe that there's 16 coaches, and then it wheels back to me. So it's like a lot of picks before it comes back, which is the one negative part about being the very beginning of the draft. So by the time it got to me, I'm actually really surprised that this Pokemon dropped. With the second pick in the 2020 IBA draft, we selected Tapu Fini. So Tapu Fini is really, really good. Tapu Fini is a water fairy type, and in this gen, it is really awesome. Now, the reason I say this is because it's able to set up misty terrain, and it's very fat. The only thing that it lacks is reliable recovery, which is unfortunate. But with Misty Terrain, it's going to be really good because a fat water type Pokemon that cannot get status is really valuable. So I can't get toxic, I can't get burnt, I can't get paralyzed, which is really, really awesome for Tapu Fini. It gets access to Defog, it gets access to Taunt, so it's really good stall breaker. Moonblast is phenomenal for this Pokemon versus Dazzling Gleam. It gets access to Scald, which is really good, handy utility. Also gets Muddy Water if I want to get cheeky for that kind of thing. I actually have to confirm if Muddy Water is legal. I wouldn't see any reason why it wouldn't be, because it's not 100%. It's not 100% that you'll get the accuracy drop. It's like 30% or something like that, but nonetheless, it's pretty good utility. And I get access to the hidden powers, so that's going to be pretty good tech to be able to tech on there in some matchups. But the Misty Terrain setting is going to be phenomenal for not only Tapu Fini, but also for Mew. So if I bring an offensive Mew, I can't get burnt. If I bring a fat Mew, I can't get toxic. So that's going to be pretty good. So Tapu Fini is a really good water and a fairy type. That's going to be one part of my Dragon Fairy Steel core as well as my Fire Water Grass core. Why are those important? You may ask, is because resistances. You can switch in on resistances, and I love to switch a lot. So that's one thing I do want to keep in mind. So Tapu Fini, great pick for the second. It can be a debatable first round pick, so I'm glad that I was able to get a second. And this is going to be one of my free picks. Unfortunately, I'm going to take a big hit on points, but I have 2 tier 1s. It is what it is. Is what it is. With the next pick, I do want to complete the second part of my Dragon Fairy Steel core, and I do want to get something that's a little bit faster. So I do take Cobalion. So Cobalion is a really great steel and fighting type Pokemon. It's going to be my Z captain for attacking. So my attack Z captain is going to be Cobalion because this thing is kind of underwhelming in the attack stat. I believe it's base 90, but with Z moves I can kind of mitigate that, right? And I can get pretty solid coverage with Z moves, like Z Fly with bounce, things like that. But this thing with the Swords Dance can be phenomenal. It's a good I get rocks now. Not only on Mew, I get rocks on Cobalion, which is really awesome. I get Volt Switch for momentum. Cobalion is going to be pretty good on the resistance side. Now, it is a part fighting type with a steel, which means it does not resist Fairy, which is something that I'm going to have to keep in mind moving forward. So I don't resist Fairy. It doesn't do what steel types typically want to do. It's more of an offensive Pokemon with the base 108 speed. Now, Generation 8 versus Generation 7 is that Gen 8's a lot slower, Gen 7 is much faster. So this isn't technically considered a really fast Pokemon, but it's able to play within that. So Cobalion's gonna be pretty good for close combats, for Iron Heads. It can also be run special if I want to do that. But Swords Dance Cobalion is pretty awesome in most matchups. So this thing's gonna be pretty good offensive threat as a Z captain. So my Z captains are Mew for any Z move I want, and then Cobalion for attacking Z moves only. So these are my 2 guys. These are my two clutchers. So yeah, that's Cobalion. And then basically I'm able to, so Mew, I picked Mew, and then it came back to Tapu Fini, and then I picked Cobalion. So it's kind of almost back to back in a way, but then I had to wait again for a really long time to the very end, and then it wheels back to me. And at this point I'm like, okay, what I'm do moving forward from here, I need to get something that has I need to get something like a pretty decent defogger, and I also would like to get a really good fairy resist, because like I said, Cobalion has got that part fighting type, which means that it's a neutral hit to fairy, and that's not good. I want to be able to get something that's reliable to be able to switch in on fairy types as well as flying types, because typically steel types are going to be your switch into flying types, but that's not the case with Cobalion. It's an offensive Pokemon, not a defensive Pokemon. I don't think there's any real way you can run it defensively, so I had to do something that's going to be mitigating the defensive stat of the steel type in Cobalion in a different Pokemon. And when I did that, this Pokemon fell to me, which is pretty good. So with the next pick, the San Diego Snugglers decided to pick up Rotom Heat. So Rotom Heat is going to be my fairy and my flying resist that Cobalion unfortunately cannot cover for the team, and it's also a good defogger as well. Unfortunately, I don't have access to heavy duty boots. They don't exist in Gen 7, so we have to get that 25% every single time we come in, which is really going to suck. But it does get access to defog, so it's going to be my third defogger on the team, which is phenomenal. Another way to pivot with Volt Switch. It gets access to Overheat, obviously, because it's a Rotom Heat. It gets access to Pain Split, Will-O-Wisp. But this mon is going to be pretty good utility for us on the defensive side, really, and it could be offensive. Don't mind, nothing to scoff at. To slap a Choice Specs on this thing and it hits like an absolute truck. So I could get cheeky if I want to. I can run some Wide Herb sets, so I can, because whenever you go into use Overheat, you drop your special attack. Wide Herb restores that, so we can hit Overheat twice in a row. We can get pretty creative with Rotom. It's just unfortunate with the Stealth Rock weakness, but it still is an immunity to ground, which is really nice because it's going to be able to cover the Cobalion in that way. So I'm able to come in and cover the fire. I can come in and I can cover the fire and the ground and the fire ground. Yeah, the fire ground weaknesses, and then the basically Rotom is weak to water and to rock, and then water is covered by Tapu Fini for somewhat, right? It beats other water types in some scenarios, and I can switch Cobalion in on the rock type moves. So that's the idea behind that. So now it's come back to me, right? So I have to wait one pick, and then there are 2 picks for me to come back to me. So I'm able to pick something pretty quick. Now, this Pokemon, I saw it was still available. I don't think that it was able to come back to me, honestly. It's no way for it to actually come back to me because it's such a good Pokemon in Generation 7, and it's a grounded poison type, which is really important, so that way I'm not weak to Toxic Spikes. Although I am off the ground with Rotom Heat, and I do have a Steel type in Cobalion, but and I also have Misty Terrain, right? So Misty Terrain is really good because all my Pokemon that are on the ground cannot get poisoned, but they do get poisoned if the Toxic Spikes are up before the Misty Terrain is, which means that I could still get poisoned on Tapu Fini, depending on the positioning of the game, which could be really bad. So in that sense, I do want to still get a grounded poison, and this one was too good to pass up. For the next pick, we do pick up NIDOQUEEN. So NIDOQUEEN is a really good grounded poison type, and a ground type. In my opinion, I do think that NIDOQUEEN is better than Nidoking in a way because it can act as defensive and offensive. Even though it doesn't have the offensive prowess as Nidoking, NIDOQUEEN can still be pretty good. Same Sure Force ability, gets access to Earth Power, Ice Beam, Fire Blast, Flamethrower, really good moves, coverage moves, mind you, Sledge Wave for stab. Gets access to Toxic Spikes and to Stealth Rock, so we now have a Stealth Rocker, a second Stealth Rocker, technically 3 with Mew, right? But we don't really want to have Mew into that role, like I said before. But this is going to be a really good breaker for us, a really good fat threat. So I could be filling a bunch of different roles with NIDOQUEEN. It's going to be coming a lot, so I do love NIDOQUEEN. It's a phenomenal Pokemon Generation 7. It's going to be a good glue, a good defensive glue, and it could be a good offensive presence as well. So I love the versatility that NIDOQUEEN is going to bring. So yeah, that's NIDOQUEEN. With the next pick, I do want to be able to complete my Fairy Dragon Steel Core, and I need to grab some speed. Cobalion is the fastest Pokemon that we have right now, so I wanted to get that next echelon of speeds here. So with the next pick, the San Diego Snugglers decided to pick up NOIUERN. So NOIUERN is a really good Pokemon, a good dragon and flying type Pokemon. Unfortunately, I don't have the resistance to electric because it is part flying, but it is what it is. We do still have a Rotom, mind you, and then we're immune with our NIDOQUEEN. But NOIUERN is really good. It's really fast-paced, 123 speed, which is 1 point faster than Greninja, which is a really good speed tier in my opinion. There's also like Tapu Kokos that are running around. There's the Mega Alakazams, which is like base 150. Mega Aerodactyl, which is stupid fast, base 150. Then of course like Excelcore, etc., right? And then Electrode. But this is going to be a pretty good matchup for most cases. Not everybody has a Mega Alakazam, not everybody has a Mega Aerodactyl, so for the most part NOIUERN is going to be doing a pretty good job of outspeeding things, which is phenomenal for the team. Greninja just came in mind because Greninja is like that fast threat, and there's not very many things faster than 123. The first Pokemon that comes to mind is like Talonflame, but then Talonflame doesn't have access to boots, so it's not that good this gen in my opinion. So NOIUERN nonetheless is still really good utility mon. It gets access to Taunt, Super Fang, Draco Meteor, Dragon Pulse, obviously Hurricane. It gets access to Boom Burst, which is really good as an offensive typing. As an offensive move, and it gets access to Flamethrower. So if it has a Steel type, if it switches in on Boom Burst, you can hit it with a Flamethrower, things like that. But the main thing that the main reason why I love NOIUERN is because it gets access to the ability Frisk, which is invaluable, which is super valuable in a team. Which means I can switch in, find out what your item is, and then switch out, or attack, or depending on what the item is. It's going to tell us, it's going to give us a lot of intel on what the opponent is going to be running, which is so good in my opinion in draft. So I love NOIUERN. I actually drafted a lot. I drafted this in another league as well at the same time. So there's 3 leagues running on YouTube, and I've got 2 of those teams have NOIUERN because this is such a good Pokemon in my opinion. I love NOIUERN, so good. Even though it's kind of frail, it does have a lot of resistances because it is a dragon type. So now we have our Fairy Dragon Steel core that is complete. Now we want to work on getting our Fire Water Grass, again for resistances basis, right? So the next pick, we're going to complete that. And some context under this is because at this point, Kirby, a good buddy of mine, another goon, a brother, he drafted this Pokemon and then realized that he didn't want it. So he put out a notice to us that he's listening to trade opportunities. So I picked up Nihilego because it's something that he wanted. So at this point during the draft, I actually had Nihilego on the team. But as soon as the draft was over, we traded him. So I gave him Nihilego and he gave me Tangrowth. So I have Tangrowth on the team to complete the Fire Water Grass core. Very fat Pokemon with access to Regenerator. And it could run Chlorophyll and get cheeky if I have a Sun team that's coming up against me, which could be kind of a problem, honestly. So Tangrowth is a pretty good Sun Sweeper, depending on the matchup. It's not faster than Venusaur or like Leafeon or Sawsbuck or anything like that, but it is still pretty fast under Sun, right? But for the most part, we're going to be running Regenerator. This thing is so fat. It's a great ground resist because I don't really have one aside from Rotom being immune, but Excadrill kind of rips me a new one, honestly. Excadrill kind of rips me to up the yin yang. So Tangrowth is going to pretty good counter to Excadrill teams. Again, there's only one of those in the entire league, but at the end of the day, we just want to have something for it. Tangrowth is an amazing defensive threat with Giga Drain, Power Whip, gets access to Sleep Powder, Leech Seed, Synthesis, Reliable Recovery, gets access to Earthquake, Knockoff, a lot of really good utility moves, and again with Hidden Power, I can pack something that I need that Tangrowth is lacking, but I can come in, eat a hit, get out, and then regenerate 1/3 of my total health, which is so good. I love regenerator Pokemon. They're one of my favorites because I'm a very bulky player. I'm coming to realize that my identity is a very bulky offense kind of player. I don't really like to play very hyper offensive. I like to kind of take hits and then dish them out even harder, switch out, and then kind of heal myself up. I'm a very bulky offensive / semi-defensive player, so Tangrowth fits my playstyle to a T. So I love having Tangrowth on the team. So now I have my Fire Water Grass core, which is my Tapu Fini, Rotom Heat, and Tangrowth. So both cores have been completed. Very happy about that. My resistances are looking phenomenal. My offensive presence is looking phenomenal. I have really good defensive backbone. So with the next pick, I kind of want to get a little bit more versatility in a way, and I don't want to have a ghost type come in and just slaughter me for free. So I also want to get some utility because right now I have rocks on Mew, Cobalion. I have rocks on Mew, Cobalion, and NIDOQUEEN, sorry. So we're like another option for that and being able to not be weak to ghost types because ghost types can be kind of a problem in most drafts, right? And then so this Pokemon was available. In my opinion, this Pokemon is a phenomenal. I love this mon, especially because it has the speed stat that it does. I actually didn't realize it was this fast. With the next pick, we did pick up MILTANK. So MILTANK is a really good normal type Pokemon because access to Stealth Rock, like I said, reliable recovery and Milk Drink. This thing gets good abilities, gets access to Scrappy, so it's able to basically combat other ghost types. So we're immune to their ghost stab, but we can still hit them with our normal stab. So we can still body slam a Gengar, for example. So MILTANK is a phenomenal Pokemon in that sense, and it's a good defensive backbone. I think it also gets thick fat. I think it gets thick fat. Let me actually double check for you guys right now. So we have, let me pull this up real quick. So we have MILTANK. Is it MILTANK? Is it Mil? M-I-L. Let's see. So sorry guys, give me uno momento. I'm actually curious because I don't remember if it does. M-I-L. Come on, computer. Let's see. I'm actually going to scroll down instead. Let's see. MILTANK. Where are you, MILTANK? I want to say that it does. Sorry that I'm delaying. Oh, there it is. MILTANK. Okay, cool. Thick fat, scrappy, sap sipper. No. Okay, so it doesn't get thick fat, but it is immune to grass types, which is really good. It could come in handy depending on the matchup. So thick fat. Oh, it does get thick fat. I'm so stupid. Thick fat, scrappy, sap sipper. So it's immune to, if I run thick fat, I can be resistant to ice and to fighting. Ice and fire. Wow. Get it together. And immune to grass with sap sipper. But scrappy is going to be typically the one that we want to run, as well as thick fat for the resistances. Because it does come in handy with the team that we do have, right? So Cobalion doesn't like fire type moves. Tangrowth doesn't like fire or ice type moves. So why did this go backwards? There it is, MILTANK. But being access to rocks, reliable recovery. This can be a really good utility mon, really good thick Pokemon for the team. So had to pick it up. Good normal type Pokemon. So with the next pick, let me actually pull this up so I can get some context in here for you guys. So with the next pick, so we're actually going to go ahead and grab our Mega now. We were pretty cool with the rest of the coaches, and they were going to tell us our Mega, but at the same time, there was a couple coaches that were saying, I don't know what I want. So I did need to get the extra points to be able to kind of recover, being able to get, because I have 2 tier 1 Pokemon. I have Mew and I have Tapu Fini, which kind of messes us up on the point department. So I wanted to get something that's going to give me points, so I did get a tier 2 Mega. So we picked up Absol. Absol, in my opinion, is really, really good. It's got a base 115 speed stat and a base 150 attack. 150. That is so good. Mind you, it's not very thick. It's very frail. But I have a lot of pivoting options, right? With Volt Switch, U-turn. I have a lot of Volt turn options. So I have NOIUERN, I have Rotom, Cobalion, and Mew that could all get momentum. Getting this thing in for free is not going to be that difficult. So Absol coming in and just hitting 150 base attack knockoffs is going to be phenomenal. If I could time it right, I can bring it in on Magic Bounce whenever my opponent wants to go for rocks or any kind of hazard, and bounce it right back. But again, that's really risky with a Pokemon that really is this frail, and it has to hold the Mega Stone, so I can't hold a Focus Sash or anything like that. So it could be pretty risky, but nonetheless, it hits like an absolute truck, and it has a really good special attack stat. I believe it's base 115. Absol. There we go. Now it's working. Okay, so Absol, Mega Absol, I believe, has a 150 base attack and 115 base special attack, which means that I can run coverage up the Yuyin. Knockoff, Play Rough. I believe it gets Superpower. Right, we're gonna go back to Ultra Sun and Moon. Gets access to Psycho Cut, which could be pretty clutch against other fighting type Pokemon because it is weak to fighting. So Zen Headbutt, Sucker Punch, Play Rough. Mega Horn could come in pretty clutch. We have access to Iron Tail, which could be pretty nice for the fairies. Throw Chop in case we have a mono attacking Sylveon, that could be pretty clutch. But nonetheless, this thing hits like an absolute truck, and I can run special coverage, like I said, with Ice Beam and Fire Blast, things of that nature. But this thing is able to come in, for the most part, for free with the team that I have, and I can get a really big hit off, and I could even sweep a team depending on how much tip I have on that Pokemon. Or on that team. So Absol, I think, is pretty good value as a Dark type. You always want to have a Dark type for a draft, and being able to get plus 40 on my points, being able to recover from, again, having 2 tier 1s is phenomenal. So because I have extra points, I'm able to kind of maneuver a little bit better. So I'm able to get better Pokemon instead of having a bunch of tier 5s. I think I would have had to have like 3 tier 5s, which would have sucked. So with the next pick, we pick our first of 2 tier 5s instead of 3, which is awesome. So this one's actually pretty good value in my opinion. So with this next pick, I actually picked up, for context again, and during the draft, I picked up the fish. I picked up Basculin. I really wanted to use Basculin because it's a pretty good offensive water type Pokemon. It's very slept on. It gets access to adaptability, which means that it gets a double boost of stab, and it gets access to liquidation and Aqua Jet, which could be pretty overwhelming to some teams, and it gets access to Rock Head, and it gets access to Head Smash as a move. And offensive rock type Pokemon are really devastating for some teams, so Basculin could have been a pretty good sleeper pick, but at the end of the day, I did notice that another one of my Pokemon that ended up being on the team was there, and that was even better value than Basculin. So I picked up Basculin, and at the end of the draft, we had that free period, and then I dropped it and I picked up Mawile. So Mawile is going to be a really good steel type that's going to fill the shoes that Cobalion can't do as a defensive steel type. And it also could be offensive. It gets access to Sheer Force as well as Intimidate and Hyper Cutter. Hyper Cutter means that I can't get my attack dropped, but nonetheless, I think that Intimidate and Sheer Force are going to be the abilities that I run most of the time. Sheer Force plus Life Orb, this thing gets a really good coverage move. So with Sucker Punch, Knockoff, Fire Fang, Play Rough, Iron Head, things like that. Depending on how fast my opponent's team is, they can come in and get a lot of damage off. And then with basically Iron Head plus Sucker Punch could knock out a lot of Pokemon, in my opinion. And Intimidate is going to be phenomenal utility. And it gets access to Stealth Rock, so it gets the immunities that Cobalion doesn't get, like a normal Astral Steel type. And it's immune to Dragon, which is really good. So I don't have to be risking Tapu Fini all the time. I get my second Steel and my second Fairy all in one, and a really good value tier 5 pick. So it's very cheap for what you get, right? And so for the very last pick of the team, we picked up this water type, which is going to be dual to Tapu Fini. I'm very happy with getting 2 waters because the water type is really good in draft. This is a more of an offensive type, but it could be defensive. With the last pick, we do pick up OMASTAR. So OMASTAR is going to be pretty good defensively, a very high defense stat. But Shell Smash is really what I want this for. In some matchups, OMASTAR can be pretty devastating. The only special rock type move it gets is Ancient Power, but it does get the chance to boost all its stats, so there's that. But typically you want to run in like Hydro Pump or Surf. But if my opponent is weak to OMASTAR, I for sure will lead it and make a big dent on its team. Lead it with Focus Sash, pop a Shell Smash, Focus Sash, then pop a Shell Smash. Say that 5 times fast, my god. But OMASTAR could be pretty devastating for some teams. It's more of an offensive build versus Tapu Fini, but it could be defensive, right? It could be defensive if they don't have anything that can hit me super effective damage. But OMASTAR could be pretty good. It also gets access to Stealth Rock and Spikes, which is nice. Good utility. So I can run the defensive side instead of hazards, or I could be very offensive with Shell Smash. So very similar to what Crustle does in a way. But OMASTAR is a very good value in tier 5. So my 2 tier 5s are Mawile and OMASTAR. And overall, this team is looking pretty good. I'm very excited to use it. It's going to be a fun time. Mew and NIDOQUEEN are going to be pretty fun to use. Cobalion is going to be a really good offensive threat. I'm going to show people wrong. This Absol pick is going to surprise a lot of people. It's going to surprise a lot of people. I can't guarantee that it's going to come every single week, honestly. I'm not going to be able to bring in some matchups because the dark typing is going to be kind of tough defensively. But in some matchups where I can hit you really, really hard with the knockoff or whatever coverage move that I bring on Absol, it's going to be devastating for some teams. And I'm really excited to show these coaches wrong. So, great team. I'm really happy with it. After the free transactions that we made right after the draft, then it looks pretty solid. It looks pretty solid. It fits my playstyle, so I'm very happy with it. And we'll see how we could do in our first ever start to finish Gen 7 Draft League. If you guys are excited for this week, coming up, I do believe we play John Jr. Yeah, I think I said that. We play John Jr. for our first week 1 matchup. These games will probably go up on Fridays. We'll probably have this up on Thursday, which is the day before the actual game. We haven't played just yet. We actually, fun fact, we're supposed to play tonight, but something happened and we couldn't play, so we'll play it another time. But you'll see this probably on Thursday, which is the day after the podcast, and then we'll have this on Friday, so we can have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday uploads plus the BBR, which is going to be Saturday against Mid Pokemaster. So that's going to be a fun time. Alright guys, well if you guys are excited for this week, for this league, leave a like, please support me, and we will go from there. Guys, thank you guys so much for watching my draft analysis. I'm going to get the heck up out of here. Have a great rest of your night, and above all else, be nice. Peace.